Hello students, this is a teleconferencing session by the School of Journalism and New Media Studies of Indira Gandhi National Open University, and today we would take it forward and do the telephone etiquettes. Telephone is not only a means of personal communication, telephone is also a means of official communication. When we apply for jobs, we do get calls and we have telephonic interviews. Sometimes the boss calls us, sometimes when we get a job, the customers call us. For example, at IGNOU, if I am a program coordinator, I usually receive calls from the learners all across India. Now, how should I handle those calls? How should the learners be spoken to? All this is important to know whenever you are in any kind of profession, especially professions concerning communication and interactivity. So you cannot escape being on the telephone these days. On the slide, you can see that why do we need these etiquettes? Telephone is a vital source of communication, and the use of cell phones and instant conversation is a compliance in our lives today. The effective telephone communication is must for keeping good professional as well as personal links. Now, what do we mean by etiquettes? These are the forms and practices practiced by social conventions or by authorities. The things which are usually accepted in the society, which are the correct things to do, are known as etiquettes. Now, why do we need the telephone etiquettes? In the corporate world, often the first contact is through telephone. As I just said, it is either your interview call or the employer is calling to check you with your details or the things that you have put in your resume. And to make the first impression a good one, we need to be well-mannered during the telephonic conversation. The telephone is the most important and efficient form of communication used today, and we all must observe certain telephone etiquettes. Professionalism is in being polite, thoughtful, efficient, sounding educated, and it is valuable to us at all times. We just can't escape it at any time. Whenever you are making a call, taking a call, engaging in a conversation, or somebody is just calling you, you must always display this professional courtesy. By the end of this lecture or this presentation, you should be able to know how to place a call, how to answer the telephone, how to put a customer on hold, how to transfer a call, how to take a message, how to deal with angry customers, and answering calls for others, and how to conclude a call. So all these are the skills that we wish that you master after this presentation. So we hope this would happen. Now let's begin with how to make a call or take a call. Now in the telephonic world, this is our first impression. Of course, the person cannot see us. The person on the other end will not be able to make out how you are dressed, how you are looking, what is your makeup, what is your attire, how is your hair done. You might just be in your slippers and pajama, but make a call and take a call in such a professional manner that the person sees that this person means business. Now let us proceed to how to make a good first impression. The first thing is how to be placing a call. Now we have an advantage when we are placing a call, and the advantage is that we at our end know that this call is to be made. Nobody is ringing us up. So I know that I have to make a call, so I can be prepared. I can decide beforehand what I need to speak to the person. I can even write down my dialogue. I can just write down the tips for myself, because now I am in a position to make a call. Now students, this is also important in our personal lives, as important it is in our professional lives. If I am calling a prospective employer, I should be well versed with what I need to speak. Rather than being caught off guard, it is always good to be prepared. And in personal lives, these days we need to make so many calls. Calls to our bank, calls to our service agencies. If you've purchased a good, you usually need to call them up for getting a service or maybe a complaint that you have. So it is always good to know that what do you need to speak and be prepared with it. You must always plan your call beforehand. Knowing and understanding what you need to say will make your call brief and effective. Of course, you will not stammer if you are prepared. I meant, I thought I would speak. Well, you're saying all this and the other person knows that, wow, this person is confused. I can take advantage of the person. You have to sound confident, and therefore making a proper plan for your call comes in handy. Have to be prepared. You have to plan your conversation. You have to know what you need to speak on the call. You must never make complicated business calls at the end of working hours. Whenever you want to complain, whenever you need to make a business call tomorrow when you will be working, you should not make them around 5 p.m. or maybe say 5:30, 4:30, because people are in a hurry to go back. and they will not take your complicated calls. Such calls are usually made in the beginning of the day, not before and after the lunchtime, and also not just before the office is about to close. So always plan the timing of your call along with the content of your call. You must identify yourself quickly and you must state your business. Who am I and what I need to speak to you about, so that the other person quickly knows what is your purpose of the call. Even if you make a call to your mobile provider, say your service provider has just charged you wrongly for a thing, you must immediately say, this is my phone number, this is who I am, and I am calling you because my bill has a wrong charge levied, so that the person immediately transfers you to proper department and they know what you are speaking about. They should not hang you up in between. If supposing you take a long time just stating your business, the chances are that you are to be hung up in between. These days, for example, Vodafone, Airtel, all of them, they say that we are happy to help you, but we all have the experience that our calls do get cut in between. So you need to state your business in the beginning of the call, quickly, hurriedly, positively, and in a very professional manner. So plan your call, the content and the time, and also what you need to say and the response that you're expecting from the other person. You must always have your pen, pencil and the notepad handy, so that whenever you're given a reference number, whenever you are told that copy this down or this phone number, you shouldn't say, okay, wait. You should always have it handy and just key it down on your mobile phone, on your computer, or maybe just on your notepad. If you dial a wrong number by mistake, just don't hang up in a hurry. You must always apologize and say, okay, sorry, this is a wrong number. I'm sorry and I need to call another number, so that you create a good professional impression. Even though you do not know the person on the other end and the person doesn't know you, it still is always courtesy. It still is always polite to say that you have dialed a wrong number by mistake and apologize and feel sorry. That is true professionalism. Now let us come to how do you answer a telephone call. Now this is when we were making a call. Now there are other circumstances when somebody else is making a call and we have to pick up a call. Now, whenever we have to pick up a call, how do we answer it? Let's just discuss about that now. You must always try to answer the phone on the second ring. If you just answer it as quickly as it is just rung, it might take your caller off guard. Though your caller knew that he or she is calling you, but you just suddenly pick up the call in the very first ring, the caller would be just suddenly startled and just confused. So it is always good to take your call on the second ring. Of course, you should not delay your phone very long. It should not be just 10 rings and you're taking the call. The caller is likely to get impatient and the caller should not be kept waiting too long. This is basic courtesy. Of course, if you're away from your phone and you're taking time coming, you just can't help it. But otherwise, answering on the first ring is as bad as answering on the 10th and the 20th ring. So usually you must try and answer your call on the second ring. You must answer your phone with a friendly greeting. For example, good afternoon. If you are used to your customer service, you have always heard good afternoon, Airtel customer service, how may I help you? So that is a friendly greeting. You get an impression, wow, the other person is ready to talk to me. I'm a valued customer. So you might also say that I'm Shelja speaking, I'm Padmini speaking. You might say, how may I help you? If you are in a business conversation. However, if you are in your personal calls, you can still say namaste, you can say good afternoon, good evening. Hello is a word which we usually say when we take a call or make a call. This is again a greeting. So you can always and you should always take in your call with a polite and a good greeting in case it's a personal call or even if it's a professional call. Always smile on your call. It shows through your words. The other person can listen to your smile on the other end. I'll just give you an example. If supposedly I speak to you, hello students, how are you today? Even if you don't see my face, you know what I'm speaking. You know that I'm very dry in my conversation. On the other hand, if I say, hello students, how are you today? The smile gets reflected in your words. Even if you had closed your eyes, you would be able to hear me smiling. So always on your call, be courteous, be polite, smile on your call, greet the caller with a polite greeting, and always answer your call on the second ring, not on the first one, not on the last one. What else should you do? Always ask the caller for their name. When you are making a call, when you're making a call, always ask them for their name. And even when you're taking a call, you must ask who is speaking. This shows that you have taken interest in them. You always make sure that you ask their name and you use it in your conversation. Okay. Ask the person for their name. This shows that you are interested in their call and you are easy to take it. Whenever you get a call or you make a call to your Vodafone or to your Aquaguard service provider, they do ask you what your name is, and they make sure that they make your use your name. So this tells you that the person is interested. Similarly, even you should do that. Even if you got a call, ask them for their name. If you make a call, you still ask it and make sure that you use the call. You must speak clearly and slowly. You never talk with anything in your mouth. For example, you have a chapati bite in your mouth, or you have a chewing gum in your mouth. So you first take it out, chew it or swallow it, whatever, and then take your call and then make your call. This actually hinders your diction. So the person cannot hear you clearly and cannot usually make out what you are saying. So always talk clearly, slowly, with nothing in your mouth. You keep the phone 2 fingers away from your mouth so that your conversation does not get blurred, and this is always good. If your phone is very near to you, for example, if you ever spoken on the stage, if the microphone is very near to you, so you get across as a bad speaker, it blurs, it gets very loud. So you must always keep the phone 2 fingers away from your mouth. With the mobile phones, that is not the problem because they just come till here and mouth is usually 2 fingers away. But even if you have a landline phone which covers your entire mouth, just keep a little distance from your phone. Now, be always courteous. As we said, talk with a smile. In your voice, it must get reflected and you must be courteous. Now, what are the hints of being courteous? You must be kind, polite, direct, enthusiastic, and you must speak with a strong voice. Don't just get dreaded. Don't just drab your voice. Don't just carry it forward, or maybe, like you just dragging it forward. Always be enthusiastic that you want to take this call. This is when you are on a receiving end. When, for example, in IGNOU, a caller calls me and a learner says, "Ma'am, my notes have not reached. I've just had a fight with my colleague." I shouldn't still tell them, "Okay, if notes have not reached, don't bother me." Even if I don't have an answer, I must be polite and courteous. Don't you think so? All of you make these calls to your regional centers, to your study centers. The person must sound enthusiastic, must sound interested in your problem. You must try to have little or no background noise. If there is any noise which is happening, try and close the door. You must try and go to another room to speak to the person if you have a mobile phone, so that the voice in the background does not abrupt or disturb your conversation. Do not yell or talk to others in the room when you are on the telephone. If you are yelling to other people, the person on the other end of the line might feel that you are yelling or screaming at that person. So your basic courtesy means that you should not yell at any other person also when you are on the phone. So now, just to recap what we have learned till now for making and taking calls. Answer calls promptly within 2 or 3 rings. Smile as you pick up the phone. The caller will hear it in your voice. Project a tone that is enthusiastic, natural, attentive, and respectful to the caller. Greet the caller and identify yourself, your company, department, or unit. For example, "Hello, I'm Padmini Jain. I'm the coordinator for PGDAPP. How may I help you?" is a good way to talk to the learners even if you are in an authority position. Ask, "How may I help you?" because the other person has made a call in your company and we presume the person needs some help. The person means some business and needs to speak to you. Now, whenever you are on a customer service desk, even if it's not a front office job, even if you are on your job in any other office, on your desk, if there is a telephone, it means that you are supposed to be talking on the telephone. It means that this telephone will ring. It means that you are supposed to be making calls with the telephone. So this is an instrument or a device given to you to interact with the outside world, to create an impression not only about yourself, but about your entire company, about your entire department or unit. So wherever you take up a job, always consider that on the phone you are a representative of your company. So be polite, be courteous, make and take calls with the ideas that we have just discussed. I hope now you're better versed with how to make a call, how to take a call. Now you've made a call or maybe you've taken a call. Now what are the things that you need to take care of during the conversation? Now let us come to those points. During a conversation, what should you be doing? Now while you are in the conversation, explain clearly why you have made a call or why somebody is talking to you. They want to know from you something. So always explain the thing very clearly. Do not be in a hurry. If you're rushing somewhere, it is better not to take the call than just take it and just cut it down abruptly. Take time out. talk to the person who is on the other line, on the other end, and just explain everything clearly. While doing so, you must always use plain language. You must avoid unnecessary jargons and acronyms. Things which the other person on the other end will not understand, just cut them short. Do not use those words. The jargons, acronyms, or maybe slangs that you use might have different meanings for different people. So it is best avoid it. Always speak calmly and choose your words naturally. If there is a problem, project a tone that is concerned, empathetic, and apologetic. If someone is calling you up with a problem, so be a human. Always say and show that you are concerned. Say and show that you are sorry that the person has had to experience this kind of a problem. You always should do that. Also, during a conversation, avoid these 4 forbidden phrases. First is no. Never say that no, this has not happened, you are wrong. Instead, you could say you could find a way and state a situation positively. You shouldn't say no, you're wrong, the notes might have reached you. You can say, okay, I understand the notes might have got delayed. Why don't you go to your nearest postal office and inquire? The second thing is you should not say I don't know, because the caller has called you expecting a solution. So if you say I don't know, who else knows? Your number was given on the prospectus, your number was mentioned in the diary, or your senior or boss has given your number, and you say sorry, I don't know. This is not a good question. I mean, you're wrong. You're not asking me I'm not the right person. This is a bad response. Instead, what can you say? Of course, it can be possible that you do not know. Of course, you are not supposed to be knowing any and every answer that the person asks you. So what is a good and a polite way? Instead, you can say, well, I think I can find this out for you. Let me speak to the other department. Let me ask my colleague and find it out for you. This is a good question. Let me find it out. So this is a polite way of saying. Of course, a person knows that you do not know. Therefore, you are saying that you have to find it out. But you have not rudely said, well, I don't know. Don't ask me this. You've given them a polite way out. So always, instead of saying no, you must say that let us find out a solution. Let us have an amicable solution. Instead of saying I don't know, you should always say let me find it out for you. Also, you should never say we can't do that or I can't do that. A company will not do this to you. Instead, you can say let us see, this is what we can do. Rather than saying, well, in IGNOU we cannot provide you certain regular classes. Don't say that. I can tell you, well, you need certain doubts to be clarified. Why don't you mail me and maybe I'll answer you? Because face to face it is not possible for us to come. Or why don't you go to your study center and talk to your counselor on Saturdays and Sundays? So instead of saying that we can't do that, as in we can't provide you regular classes, we've given you solutions. We can provide you teleconferencing. We have counselors for you. Or maybe this is a mail ID or telephone number for you. So always there is another way out. Rather than saying we can't do that, try and say we can do this. Go to the other option. Another forbidden phrase for telephone conversations is you will have to. Well, you will have to submit your assignments by this date. It's not a polite thing to be saying on a phone for a person who is called with a confusion. What instead I can say is, here is how I can help you. If you submit your assignments, I will check them and return them to you with comments or maybe with feedback. So the 4 forbidden phrases that we wanted not to be spoken about were avoid no, avoid I don't know, avoid we or I cannot do this for you, and also avoid now you will have to do that. There are always better polite manners to take the conversation around the corner and stick to those. Now, what are these polite manners? When we had 4 forbidden phrases, we also have 5 things that you should do during a conversation. So these are: use LEAPS. This is an acronym for emotional callers to express yourself. Whenever there is a person who is emotional, who is called you up with a complaint or with a problem, what should you do? Number 1 is L. Listen and allow the caller to express them. Sometimes just listening to their problem is a solution. Sometimes a person is so better off by a catharsis. When he has narrated a problem to you, he sometimes sees a solution himself. It is always good to listen to the person. Second is E. E is for empathize. Acknowledge the person's feelings. The best you can do, even if you cannot provide solutions, is you can say, I understand that this has been problematic for you. I understand that you are a learner at this remote corner of the country and it is not easy for you to study. Just saying this sometimes is good for the emotional corner. Second is A. Apologize whenever it is appropriate. Even if the problem is not your fault personally, you can say, I'm really sorry that this has happened to you. I'm really sorry that you are not able to finish your assignments. I'm really sorry that you were not able to submit your exam form. And then next you can talk to the person and give them a solution. Maybe 3 months from now there will be exams that should be held again and you can submit your form then. So always apologize. P is for positive. Be positive to the person. Do not scold them. Do not tell them, well, this is very wrong that has happened and this was your fault and I have nothing to do with it. Be positive to them. Try and find a solution for them. Now we come to S, which is for solve. Always solve, suggest, generate solutions that you can both agree to. If it is reasonable, you can also do it for them. For example, if a caller calls and says, my grade card is not showing in my website, so you can always find a solution. Okay, maybe you have to speak to the students' evaluation division. And if I'm in position, if I can offer help, I can say, okay, why don't you write me a mail? And I will, on your behalf, put up a note to them. So always offer solutions and offer help wherever you can solve the problem. So this is LEAPS, where LEAPS is for listen, empathize, apologize, be positive, and solve and suggest solutions. If you do that to your caller, surely you will have something which is more amicable, something which is more, cordial to both of you, and the caller would have a good impression of your company, of you, and caller would also have solutions. So it is as good to be a good human as it is to be a good professional. And dealing properly on telephone calls makes you do both of them. Now, there is another thing which we all need to do whenever we are making calls. It is putting the caller on hold. Sometimes I need to search an information. Sometimes I need to ask someone else. Sometimes I need to check my computer database for the solution. So I need to put the caller on hold. Now, what are the good ways of putting someone on hold? Let us see that. Whenever you need to put your caller on hold, whenever you're putting a caller on hold, always ask permission. Can I please put you on hold? Why? Because I need to search this information. Because I need to talk to another colleague of mine and see how I can solve your problem. So always ask permission and tell them the reason why they have been put on hold. For example, would you mind being on hold while I get your file? And can you briefly hold while Mr. Nath is not available, or another call when I can put your call to him? So can you please hold for that time? While taking a caller off hold, when you're putting the caller off hold, always thank them for their time. This is always a good gesture because they were not free to just be holding on your call or listening to the music which is playing on the other end. So always you must say that thank you so much that you have been on hold. So I appreciate your effort and there is your solution. So now to be briefly recapping what you have done now, you always request the caller to hold the call so that you can assist them with the complete information. On resuming, you must always feel sorry for having kept them on wait. So this shows that you are respecting others' time. When placing a call, always identify yourself. Ask, do you have a minute? Or is it a good time to call you? Before explaining the reason why you have called. This shows that you respect the other person's time and you just do not presume that they're sitting free just to be taking your call always. Now there is another situation that we usually have. We might need to transfer the call to another department. We might need to transfer the call to another person who is sitting on another desk. How should you transfer the call? If a caller needs to speak to another person or another department, always please transfer the caller directly to the department, not going through the exchange. This saves the person's time and the person does not need to explain to another department again the problem. So you can do the transferring directly. And whenever you're transferring the call, tell them who you are transferring them to. And always tell the other person that this is the person who has this problem and I'm transferring the call to you. So you must always act as a mediator between the two people because this is you who is transferring the call. Now another thing which you need to take care while you are transferring a call, explain the reason for the transfer. Let me connect you with Mr. XYZ in this department because he is the one who can provide you the solution. So that the person knows that you are just not treating them like a ping pong ball. You are always explaining the reason why the call is being transferred. Also always you must know that use the name of the person that you are transferring to whenever possible. So this is Shelja whom I am transferring you to and she will take your problem further. Always know the transfer instructions for your telephone operator so that you do not cut the call in between by mistake. For example, in my phone, if I need to place 0 and then the person extension, I must know that. So it should not happen that in trying to transfer the call, I just cut the call. Right? So I hope now all of you are clear how you need to make a call, how you need to take a call, how you need to put a caller on hold, how you need to transfer calls. Another thing which we very frequently need to do is we need to take phone messages. Sometimes I might be answering a call for someone else. It might be someone else's message or someone is not on their desk and I need to answer that call. So that is when I need to take down the messages. I need to take this message for some other person who will come later and deal with this problem or maybe call this person back. Now, how do I take phone messages? That also is a very unique thing in itself. People who are able to take good messages are good conversationists. So what are the points you need to take care of? Telephone messages should always be written down. If I just remember someone's number, chances are when the person comes in, I need to tell them, well, this person called for you and this is their number. I might just mess up with the name or the number. So it is good that I always write it down very, very clearly on a notepad so that the other person has a clear idea of what I need to tell them. You must include the date and time of the call. So the person for whom I am taking the message knows when the call was there, what was the time of the call. Always take down the caller's name very, very clearly. Always also take down the name of the company where the caller was calling from. Always write down the telephone numbers where you need to call back or where your colleague or boss or assistant needs to call back very clearly. And also you must write the reason that the person had called, whether they will ring back themselves or you need to ring them up. So this is the content of a proper telephone message. The person's name, company, time and date, reason for calling and what you need to do with that call. So this is how you just take down the calls. Now another important thing that we need to do is sometimes we have to answer calls for others. Sometimes the person is not on his desk and I need to take the call for the person. Sometimes somebody is on vacation, is on leave, has just gone for a holiday, or maybe sometimes it's just a person has just gone out for an hour to talk to another client and I need to answer the call for them. I might be sitting on my colleague's desk and answering a call. Now I can just make or break the situation. If I do not answer the call properly, then the person will be confused at the other end. So challenge here is to answer this call properly. Now how can I answer calls properly? First thing, identify yourself and the company or the person for whom you are answering. You must always say, hello, this is Padmini. Padmini, I am answering this call for Mr. Subhash Dhulia. He is not on his desk. How may I help you? Can I take down a message? So always identify who you are. So when this person calls your colleague, he must be able to tell, okay, this is the lady who took my call. So always say this is my name and this is the person's name to whom you have called and this is, we are trying to answer their call for them. Now offer assistance in the absence of the other person. You can always say that she is not here today, perhaps I can be of assistance. It is not always that you need to take down the message. At times you can always solve the problem on your own because you are probably in the same department. So first you say that I am this. I'm talking on behalf of that person. That person is not here today. Maybe I can offer you a solution. May I know why you have called? Third, you must always never make commitments for others. You should not say he will call you as soon as he comes back. He might not want to call you actually. You must always just say that I will give him your message whenever he returns. So do not make a commitment on the other person's behalf. Do not say that the other person will do this or do that. Just say what you can do. Just say I will put your message across and then leave it to the other person whether they need to make a call, talk to the person, what they wish to do. Now friends, another thing that we need to do with a call at times is, at times when we are receiving calls in our department or company, it is sometimes for complaints that the people are coming to us. So we sometimes need to handle complaints. Sometimes people have just made an inquiry call. Okay, when do my notes reach you? These are the kinds of calls I get. Or when, how do I apply for this admission? When are the last dates? At those times, it is okay for me to just be providing an information. But when a person is called up with a complaint or a problem, well, I tried this and this has not happened. IGNOU website is just not opening. I'm not able to submit my form. Or my regional center people are not taking my call. So there is a problem or a complaint. Now there are certain special things that one needs to be careful about when you are handling calls for complaints. What are these? First, of course, you must listen clearly and carefully to the person who is making the complaint, so that you get the whole idea of what the person is wanting to say, what is the solution he is expecting from me. So first is listen carefully to the problem of the person. Second, convey sincere interest and be empathetic towards the problem. You must sincerely show that I'm interested in listening to your problem, and show empathy that okay, I understand this has been a problem, let's see how we can solve the problem. So listen carefully, convey sincere interest and empathize. You must agree as often as possible rather than saying, oh, this couldn't have happened, oh, you are just wrong. It is good to agree to the person, oh, I understand this has happened. Only if you agree will you be actually willing to provide a solution, right? Also, remain calm and courteous. Do not argue. Now this is very, very common, and this is something which comes naturally to us, because when someone is complaining, someone is expressing a problem, it is very natural for us to argue, no, you are wrong, this couldn't have happened. But please be careful that you have to be calm and courteous. You do not have to argue with the person in return, because the person is already in a problem situation. They have called you for a solution. You just cannot put them in more problem by arguing with them, right? Now, you do not interrupt unless the person needs to talk to another person or department. So, listen carefully, convey sincere interest and empathy, agree as often as possible, be calm, do not argue, and do not interrupt unless it is actually the need. Other things, do not blame your co-workers. You should never say, oh, this person has done that, I understand, she's like this only, I will provide you a solution. No, this is we, this is the company. So you cannot blame the other person. The blame is for us. Explain clearly and always show certain anxiety to solve the problem and correct those mistakes. Always you must be enthusiastic, and it must reflect that you are interested in solving the person's problem. Do not make unrealistic promises. Okay, this money will come back to you just tomorrow. Well, it will not. So no use telling the person certain lies and making unrealistic promises. Apologize. You must always be sure to say I am sorry whenever it is sincere. So rather than we are sorry, it is always good to say I am sorry. See, in a good teamwork, that is a basic lesson. The mistakes are always individual and the credit is always to the team. So always apologize and say, well, I am sorry. Or you must always follow up. Get back to the caller and make sure that the problem has been solved. Whenever you've been trying to solve a problem, always follow up. That is always a good thing to do. Now, this is when we were talking about taking calls or messages for others. Now, at times, others might to take messages or calls for you. You might be just away from your office or your home and your phone might ring. So now, whenever you are away from your office, what are the things that you should do? Always arrange for coverage or leave a voicemail for the callers. Either leave a voicemail on your answering machine saying that I am away, I will give you a call as soon as I come back, kindly leave your message and phone number and name, whatever. Or you must arrange for a coverage. There might be certain assistant of yours who can take calls for you and later take messages and convey them to you. So either arrange for a coverage or put a good message on your answering machine. Now, whenever you're putting a message on your answering machine, always it should be short. Callers do not want to wait for a very long message before the beep comes and they need to just convey it. Always put just a one-line, maximum a two-line message so the caller listens to it as a clear idea and leaves a message for you. So do not be tempted of just giving your voice tests over your answering machines. They must always be very short messages. You should be there. Advise your office where you can be reached. Always tell someone who is taking your calls in your absence, saying that this is my phone number in an emergency so that they can reach you. Check your messages during the day. Whenever you have arranged for an answering machine, during the day, whenever you have a time, you must always check for your messages so that you know where to call back. So now these are some of the pointers. Arrange for coverage, leave a voice message, place a short message on the answering machine, advise your office where you can be reached, and check your messages during the call. Now friends, I hope we all now know how to take good calls, take messages, transfer a call, put the caller on hold, arrange for coverages. Now the most important thing, how to conclude a call. You've made a very good conversation during a phone call and you just put your phone, tuck, tuck, just it goes, tuck, you've spoiled the whole impression that you were trying to create since the time you made a call. So these 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes that your call lasted, something which is very, very important is to say a goodbye. Why a goodbye is called goodbye is actually because the byes have to be good. When you are parting with a person, the last impression also goes a long way. The first impression, the last impression, no, that is the worst saying anybody could have coined. The first impression is the first impression, the last impression is actually the last impression. Now let us see how can we make good last impressions. How can we conclude our telephone calls courteously, professionally, with etiquettes. Now, when you conclude a call, end the conversation with agreement on what is to happen next. If you have to follow up, do so immediately. Tell the person, okay, now you've made this call and we understand that I need to call you back to confirm why your result is not displaying. Or you need to write me a mail. So you just conclude the call by telling that what is the solution that you have actually come to. So end the conversation with agreement on what is to happen next. If you are to follow up, do so. Always thank the caller for calling. Invite the caller to call again. Thank you for this call. I hope the experience was pleasant for you and you may call again if you have a problem. Also, the keys to good last impressions are: before hanging up, be sure that you have answered the caller's questions. Why the caller had called you, those questions have been answered. Be sure of that. Always end with a pleasantry like, have a nice day. It was nice talking to you. I hope it was a good call for you also. Let the caller hang up first. Do not be the first to hang up. This shows that you were interested in the caller and you were just not in a great hurry to get off the call as soon as the call has ended. So permit the caller to end the call, hang up first, and then you do. Now, certain tips for creating a good image while you are on the telephone are here. Use the basic phrases of courtesy. How may I help you? Please, thank you, you are welcome. Use these basic phrases. So this creates a good image and a good impression while on the telephone. Use standard and accepted business phrases. Avoid slangs like huh, yo, nope, dude, bye-bye. Do not use those slangs. These are official conversations. These are not just personal conversations for you. Do not chew gum while you are on the telephone. Do not slam the phone or cut it off just immediately. Keep your promises. If you have asked the person that you would do this, just do it. Smile while you are speaking. This reflects in your telephone calls. So I hope, friends, by now we know how to place good telephone calls. You can use this knowledge just now. So I hope even if you don't call us, you call other people and make a good impression. I just hope that you have learned something from today's lecture. You're always also welcome to mail us, give us your feedback and tell us that what are the next things that you would like to listen to in these teleconferencing sessions. You can also mail me at padminijan@ignou.ac.in. That is padminijan@ignou.ac.in. I would be very happy to take your feedbacks and hold your next telephone conferencing sessions as per your demands. So you're welcome to call us, mail us and be with us. I hope it was a good experience for you to listen to today's lecture. All the best for your careers and for your telephone calls in particular. Thank you.